My name is Adam Harhoff. I work in FIT services, and I have done so for the past 6 years. FIT services is responsible for our IT operations and that our infrastructure is modern, and also for all of our IT procurement and sourcing. So I have had the privilege of influencing our sourcing strategy for the past years. I'm Danish. My boss, he's Norwegian. He's been nominated CIO of the Year in Sweden in a company that's totally owned by Finns. So this is Nordic is something that means something to me, and it's part of the culture that we have within IF. And this is the agenda. I have only this one slide, so you won't have death by PowerPoint, but you will have to go into a bit detail in some of the slides here. I'm going to give you a bit of a background, talk a bit about the value creation, the sustainable value creation in our operations, and then go a bit and look at the strategy, pretty low-level strategy of what we're going to be doing, and then talk a bit about human capital. How do we create the sustainable value going forward, also in the future? Because this whole concept of creating sustainable value through multi-sourcing has to imply that you have some kind of a business within the business that creates value. Okay? Yeah, and then also the thoughts that I have here are some of them are being done right now, but I'm also trying to be quite open with you of some of the thoughts that I have for the future, and I will be talking for about 35 minutes, I hope, and then there will be some time for questions and maybe some answers also if I can find them. Okay, first let's dive into background. I have one slide about IF. I thought it was necessary because at least there's one person in the audience who doesn't know who IF is. But we're the leading Nordic insurance provider. We have 3.5 million customers and 6,300 employees. And if you want to know more about all the numbers, please visit our website. But what is it all about? Relax. Will help you, is sort of the message here. This means quite a lot in IF. We do a lot of cleanup, we do a lot of claims handling and so forth. Of course, we have also a lot of other strategic things that are important in the way that we handle it, and we are 3 lines of businesses: private, commercial, and industry. But taking it to where I'm providing with the business, the Relax Will Help You is sort of a cultural theme that supports the strategy items that IF is about in the risk handling and in the way we want to be trusted by our customers. So the business also wants us as multi-sourcers to provide a Relax Will Help You theme. Now, the other thing, there's a lot of action going on in this picture. But the other thing that we can learn from this picture is that this multi-sourcing is not something we invented in IT. Insurance businesses have been doing this for a long time. As you can see here, there's a tugboat that is putting water on the fire so that it gets put out. There are people at shipyards trying to design, well, how do we handle this? And none of those people actually work in IF. So the business is doing a lot of outsourcing on a geographical level and multi-sourcing between different parties. And it's a balance of having enough to give your supplier in terms of business and also being able to make it competitive price-wise. So bringing that a bit along, I'll just tap down to what our our multi-sourcing travel came from. In 2000, we sourced everything to one provider. It was a cost issue, much like Niels just talked about the first phase of multi-sourcing. It was a board decision. You get the whole thing for half the price. Now, who can say no to that? It's perfectly ideal. What could possibly go wrong? Of course, the alignment of where the business was going and where the outsourcer was going with this tend to go two different ways. And in 2005, If started to go towards a multi-sourcing strategy, having different vendors provide different things. And this has been ongoing through all of the IaaS. I got lots of abbreviations: infrastructure as a service, software as a service, application as a service. We have such wonderful, wonderful abbreviations in IT that really confuse the users. And then going into cloud services. By the way, this is a cloud services that we're running here. It is me actually standing here, but this is running somewhere in San Francisco. The other thing, when looking at the business, they have a clear view of who their customer is. We should also have a clear view of who our customer is. And I've made this quite simplified drawing. Within If, we have a development units so that do all the development of our insurance systems. We call them the IT development units, or the technical units. So all of our developers are here, and they are one customer to me. I have to provision them with something. They have to get horsepower. They have to get application platforms to be able to develop, and they have to have search and recruitment and administration for all of the software and licensing needs they might have. And then there are the business areas. Also very simplified drawing. There's private, commercial, industrial, and so forth. And what they want is they just want to have their desktop working in a good way, and they just want to have their contact centers working in a good way. And there's a whole bundle of products around that so that they can buy from us. And then, of course, we handle operations. So this black box down here is just bringing it all together and making it really simple for the business, so that they don't have to make decisions on how to invest in infrastructure, but this is something that can be ongoing for them, and that they know that it's being handled. But of course, we have to be special in IT, don't we? There must be something special about us. We have all of these conventions where we talk about special items that are relevant to us. And I was sitting, just much like you are doing right now, at a Gartner symposium, and they have these very, very nice, cushy seats that you can sit, and all sorts of trivia go over the screen. And then you go, oh, that's interesting. And that's also interesting. And then I gathered it together to say, well, this is maybe the picture of things that are evolving very quickly within our space. Niels also talked about how you outsource something right now, and in a couple of minutes it'll be something completely different. I think Anders also went on the same thing. So taking these things into account, let's try to see if we can make a vision. Now, a vision is pretty easy to do. Actually, we could have jumped over all the previous steps and just go to the internet and find some kind of vision generator that can give it to us. But basically, this is my version of the Relax will help you for the part of the company that is driving IT within us. That we can demonstrate that we can deliver value. This is a moving target towards the business, so that we have to be able to measure up on the survey, the sustainable part of trying to do it. And also that we have the human capital, the people that can do this also going into the future, much like you would have a stock. Are we able to do things also in the future? Let's see if I can make this work. Nope. Well, I'm just getting the hang of it. Okay. Just move it over here. Okay. So that goes down to our operations. How are we doing? If we have a statement that says that we should be providing value, there has to be some kind of an effect of what we're doing. And we've been doing this for some years now, as you can see, 10 years. So there must be some kind of a value that we can set forth. Well, the current value contribution, there's two sides to that. One is, are you taking care of your hygienic factors properly? Now, the hygienic factors are your operations okay? Is your security okay? Are all the stuff that you have on your table right now that can make your platform a burning one handled? I think it's a very good idea for you to have this kind of a meter on your desk just to see what it is that you have to clean up. And the other thing is, what is it that you bring as value to the customers? And basically, there are three things that are value creation within FIT services. One being, well, people have been talking about costs and so forth. It's not that you go into sourcing with a cost focus, but at some point the business will ask you, are you providing value for money? So IF has been going through a sort of a journey where we go through digitalization of processes, consumerization of products, and getting all sorts of new stuff on board. And doing that since 2007 with decreasing costs has, of course, a value that they can say we're getting more value for money in the development that we're doing. Another thing is a lot of the measurements that we have within IT are just completely ununderstandable. Is that a word, by the way? Ununderstandable? No. Well, it is probably a word. Okay. But what we measure in IF is lost user hours. So every time something bad happens, we measure what is the impact of that, and we add all of what has been bad that has happened during the month, and then we report that as something that the business understands. So they understand the value of a lost user hour. Each person within IF has if they are equally productive, they contribute to our gross written premiums equally and so forth. So that these numbers can be very, very quickly calculated within the management team. And though we can have lots of SLAs from ITIL and so forth, none of them are really that effective as just being able to tell what is the business impact. And this means that I can have a dialogue with them that says, well, what are we going to use of money to actually improve the stability? What is the level that we want to have? Right now we have pretty good stability. And the last value, item is being able to steer with the business. We are packaging all of our products into some services and grouping them so that the business can help steer where they want to go and do it in business terms. Also, multi-sourcing, having done that quite much, we can pluck things from the market and get them into our operations. And that sounds very easy, but it's actually quite hard taking new things, and there's a certain limit to the capacity of what you have. And then we have a wide range of partners so that we can contribute to our innovation together. So looking a bit at our strategy. Are you following me so far? You look very quiet. Okay.
I have a question about the previous slide.
Yes, sure. There wasn't a previous slide. It's the same slide. I'll just show you.
The one that is about the packaging. I just want
Well, if we look at the workstation space, you can have a workstation, or you can have, let's say, a Volkswagen, and then you can have certain add-ons to it. Each business area will have sort of their own basic image, and then you add on to what it has, and it includes all of the communication you have. Also, you can have iPads or different kinds of paraphernalia that you can invoice them so that they get these kinds of services.
And so you invoice that directly to each of the users?
Yeah, down to the business unit, to the business unit managers. So that because if everybody's responsible for their costs, some of the costs are central, of course, but we try to invoice it so that we can handle the demand management. I was actually coming to that a bit later. That's all right. Glad you're interested. Oh, sorry. Coming back to strategy, I mean, you can't do everything at once. So what are we doing the next months within the infrastructure space? What is our 24-month rolling roadmap? What is it that we want to achieve, and what can it benefit us? So it's quite concrete steps that we want to take. And if you look at the infrastructure space and say what it is that you're actually providing, I think that we can probably, sorry, I'm going to get used to this at the moment. We're probably going to be able to do it in this kind of a picture. There will always be somehow looking at our capacity optimization to be able to see that we can get more, faster, better, cheaper. That will always be part of it. Then there is, for my part anyway, the enablement of the business to be able to better collaborate to each other with all of these communication tools that you have, and being able to do a live meeting on your iPad while on an airplane between Norway and Stockholm. That's doable because Norwegian has Wi-Fi. Don't go SAS then. Then there's also the question of upgrading. There's always a new upgrading of systems. There's always maintenance going on, and you will always have that as a part of what you're doing. And then there's the process optimization. So these are basically the sort of figures that you will look at if you're an infrastructure provider towards the business. Okay. Now, since it's pretty clear for me what the business wants to achieve, then I can link that to what I'm doing in my unit, and then in the departments that I have within IF, there's a pretty clear picture of what they're supposed to be doing. Does that make sense to you? Anybody awake still? Okay. Say yes if you think it makes sense. Thank you. Just love this kind of response things. Okay. Next, I'd like to talk a bit about human capital, because we know from our strategy that well, culture will eat strategy any day of the year. But if we look at strategy, it's basically about your human capital and about your processes that will give your customer satisfaction. It says so in many balanced books, and probably you can read it in a Harvard Review somewhere. So looking at the human capital is important. It's important to me anyway. And it's also, it seems, important in terms of Gartner. They have quite a few white papers that tell you a bit about how do you want to be a good multi-sourcer, what kind of skills and capabilities should you have. They have this list of things here. Some of them we've just touched with performance management, strategy management, and you talked about demand management, which I'll get back to a bit later. But in a traditional IT environment, the roles that we have are typically solution architects, they are solution developers, and they are project managers and so forth. So when we talk about multi-sourcing, it's my belief that we also need to look at some other kind of capital. We need to be good service managers. We need to be good financial managers, and we need to be good contract managers to be able to succeed. And I think those are career ways, and ways that that we can actually certify people and make them better. Certainly within the yellow box service management, we have the whole ITIL apparatus at our disposal. And that's of course very good when we talk about human capital, because that's about specialization. But there are also other things that we have to know something about. I mean, you're coming here because you want to know what the market is doing. It's part of the business knowledge. And we also need to know what the business is doing, the business that we're working in, to be able to interact with them. We have to be good at delivery. We have to be good at being service-minded towards the business, and we also have to be good at people management. So these are sort of the human capital aspects of running a multi-sourcing institution. And I've brought that down to each of the units, so that I can dive down into a unit and say, well, what is it that you're supposed to be doing here? Well, this unit has these green spots that they're on right now, and if you look at your competency, you have about this much competency, right? If you don't do anything and you are a lazy person, I was going to swear there, sorry, a lazy person, then it will sort of shrink over time. So you have to make an effort just to keep it on the level, especially in our business where the involvement of technology is so great. 2 years ago, we didn't know how to spell iPad. Now, if we want to move up, it creates tremendous effort. So where do they want to go? And each of those departments have to take that and have a quite structured approach to where we want to be in 2 years' time, and plan for that right now. Okay, bye, Christian. Then how do we follow it up? You have to be, every time you do something, you have to be able to measure it. And the human capital here is measured in 2 ways. Satisfaction, is that on the same level as if? That's part of if strategy, is to have satisfied employees. And this Relax Will Help You theme has to have that in. So if your people feel that they're living up to what they're supposed to do, then they will be satisfied. And of course, a competence plan for each employee. I haven't heard anybody talk about the human capital in these outsourcing forums. Is that because it's unimportant?
I think it's been discussed, but not mentioned as human capital.
Mm.
Mentioned.
Yeah, that there are some stuff, yeah. Okay, I stand corrected. Okay. I think that after me there will be somebody talking about vendor governance, so I won't go too much into that. But what I really think is interesting is, are the deliveries that we do, are they actually understood by the business? And are the products that we have, we had this workstation product, like the Volkswagen with the extra services that we put on, are they actually understood? And are they also in line with what the business needs? So I'd like to talk a bit about customer governance. Now, this is a very busy sort of slide, so I'll just take one product area that you might know about. It's just a server. And here we have some products. They're over on that side. It's on this side over here, so it's on that side. And then we have some services that are connected to these products. This isn't a complete list, just some examples. You don't have to squint to read. It's just, well, yeah, I can do like that. Then I see some of you squinting. And the other thing is you have to have focus on what kind of process, what kind of measurements do we have to actually see that each of those product lines that we're delivering, are they okay, yes or no? And of course, we should ask the customers, is it okay? This is where I'm struggling right now to find out how to get all of these measurements into some kind of scope that is understandable and that I can bring into what we call our maintenance decision groups. This is where we meet with our customers and to steer what is it that we're going to be doing within an area. And in this area, their task is to define, well, how much frame do we have to put aside for maintenance? What do we want to do in terms of upgrade? What standards do we want to base ourselves on going forward? And also, what kind of developments do we want to do? They have also the task to communicate outside. And I seem to have seen a couple of triangles here before because they seem to be quite popular. This maintenance decision group is somewhere in the middle here, and we have the strategy of the IT and business management sort of deciding between the different maintenance decision groups. What kind of funding do we want? What kind of economical goals do we have to achieve? But to feed this kind of maintenance decision group, there has to be some competence. And so we decided we would have some competence centers. We call them ICC because it's a very good IT abbreviation. It means If Competence Center. You would never have guessed that, would you? No. Okay. So we have, for this maintenance decision group, we have a number of competence centers that are working with the developers of the customers on a sort of operational level to see how do we bring these things forward, what is the tasks at hand, and what do we want to do to make the developers more effective. Those are those that are mainly using these things. And the same we have with those that are working with competence centers or receptions or with workstations. Okay. And this was where your questions fit in, because here we have the demand management. That all of these products that we have, they are being invoiced to the business, so that they can see, well, if we do something, it has an impact. That means that they can't just not care of what they do, and they can't just not say, please fix everything, because they will be invoiced for their actions and for their decisions. Okay. Then I'll talk a bit more on customer focus. We run surveys towards our customers to see what kind of feedback we have, just like Anders told that he's doing in Velux, and getting feedback here. It's sort of the ask, act, and then ask again kind of theme that we roll around in. And it's extremely important to get your alignment towards the business and say this is actually understanding what they want to do, because understanding a customer is actually extremely hard. Let me see if I can make this work. It's actually loading. I have this video that I think that is really says a lot about how is it that we interact with customers. Do we really understand them? Because usually we just say, well, we really want to interact with you. We really want to know what it is that you want to achieve. But at the same time, we're very good at listening. Now, this is evidently running on the hotel's network.
I think you can press the play button.
Do you think so?
It has loaded a little bit there.
It has loaded a bit, hasn't it? Yeah, I'll press the play button.
Hi, welcome to our first edition of Movie Zoo Feedback. Every week I'll be joined by someone from our user community who'll ask me questions about Movie Zoo. If you'd like to take part, there's a special email address on our website. You can submit any question you like. Perhaps you need help with a particular feature, or maybe you've got some suggestions about how we could improve Movie Zoo. Someone like Mad-212. Hi, thanks for using Movie Zoo. How can I help?
Now we're talking to the customer. You see, this was being very open. We really want to get your feedback. Now we talk to the customer, and then let's see what happens here.
Hi, well, did you guys know that all your arms and shit, like, pass through the character when he's talking and things can fall out of the world if you make them small enough and there's a gap right at the top of the sky? My friend Rob says that the animations suck and your animators suck. And anyway, it doesn't even run on Mac. And Rob says that iClone is better. And, like, there are characters that look cool and yours just suck.
How should you react to that? Okay, this is not running as fast, but...
Of you little geek. So if you'd like to submit a question or a suggestion to us, please use the email address on our website.
Wouldn't you just love to do that to a customer? No, so that's one of the challenges that we have, and this understanding the customer is I think one of the things that I find the most challenging in the job that I'm doing. Especially, there's a long way from being at the bottom of the boat, handling infrastructure, to the top where they're talking about how to handle the business on a very high level. But with some of the reporting that we've done, with some of the ways that we've been talking about it, it's actually on the agenda and they see a value of it. Okay, now I will give you a one-slider. For Monday morning, which I believe that you should wake up bright and bushy-tailed and do something about, is get your priorities in order. And this is sort of a balanced scorecard. You can use any kind of scorecard, but this is just to put strategy on the table. Say, what is it that you're going to be doing for the coming term? This is the foundation of how good you will be going forward. Then I would challenge you to say, well, how is your human capital and how are your processes, and are you measuring them so that you can follow up and see what actually has impact towards the customer? And are you measuring your customer happiness or satisfaction? And then, of course, there is the financials. You wake up and you see have things gone horribly wrong, or are things going the right way? And then also be realistic. Don't do everything at one time, but make sure that you take steps along the way.